This on Fairmont is designed to help you get to know your community a little better. Its people, its places, its personality, and its neighbors.
Hi, I'm Janet Ruth. Thanks for tuning in. We're at Sylvania Park, a great place for a picnic. While I'm setting things up, why don't you join Al Travis at Gomsrud Park for a recap of Interlochen Heritage Days.
Last weekend, this park was just filled with people enjoying great food, great entertainment, and just mingling around with friends. Interlochen Heritage Days kicked off in downtown Fairmont with the Borderline Cruisers Classic Car Show. Even though the cool, wet weather was threatening, it didn't dampen the spirits of the car enthusiasts. They wandered through downtown Plaza admiring the classic cars and antique tractors. A special feature this year was the display of Thunderbirds, now celebrating their 40th anniversary. Jim Tao's 57 Thunderbird drew many admiring looks, as did Denny Strauth's 56 Ford T-Bird, which took first place in this category. Some of the other classic car favorites were these: 55 Plymouth, 35 Chevy, a 1940 Packard, a 58 Chevy Yeoman, and a 53 Ford. An original street rod that ran the streets of Fairmont back in the late 50s was also on display. They called this Quaker a policeman's nightmare. Usually constructed of 4 different makes and models, a car owner couldn't buy insurance on this one. 16 antique tractors, including these restored John Deere tractors from 36 and 37, were also displayed. George Draper brought down his 1930 Model A Ford and a 31 Roadster. Other club cars were also on show. 175 trophies in 44 divisions were given away, with the best of show going to Steve Miner of Winnebago. Besides a 4-foot trophy, he won a set of 4 Eagle ST tires from Graham Tire. The Interlochen Heritage Days parade got off to a chilly start, but then warmed the crowd with rousing band music, clowns, and candy for the kids. The Fairmont High School band was in fine form, ready for its trip to Florida and the southern states. Other bands also entertained the crowd. Top Chops was one of the favorites. As was the Shriners Band. Floats from neighboring towns such as Sherburne, Tremont, and Wells promoted their city festivals. And of course, the politicians were there to shake a few hands too. As the parade progressed, the temperatures rose and some brave performers even shed their winter coats. The Twin Cities Unicycle Club had no trouble staying warm, and some hockey players even worked up a sweat. Of course, it wouldn't be a parade without some horses, and the Fairmont Saddle Club didn't let the crowd down. Although Kramer's Cracker Jacks drumline from Cold Spring, Minnesota got lost en route to Fairmont, they ran 3 blocks, caught up with the parade, and drew an enthusiastic response. The fun didn't stop when the parade ended, however. Kid Hollywood and the Coconuts were in full gear at the Gomsrud Park Shelter House. By the way, if you didn't catch them last weekend, you'll have another chance. They'll be at the Martin County Fair in August. Sunday's events were blessed with sunny skies and warmer temperatures. The taste of Interlochen lived up to its name. The turkey legs were huge and tasted great, and in between snacks you could do a little sumo wrestling or observe some human bowling. The women of today sold plastic ducks at $2 each, filled this tank with water, and raised 550 ducks, raising funds for community projects. A 19-inch color TV, lawn glider, and many other prizes were awarded to the winners. And local performers entertained throughout the afternoon. There was even a weird guy impersonating Pa Ingalls there. Hot dogs, brats, beer, nachos, pretzels, some of the great tastes of Interlochen. However, if fish, namely sheephead, is more your liking, contact Brian Greger or Brian Meyer. They, along with Joan Meyer, caught 77 pounds of it during the Interlochen Freshwater Drum Classic. They took 6th place out of 20 teams. The winning team caught 182 pounds to earn the $1,000 guaranteed purse. The finale of Interlochen Heritage Days was the 7th annual Salvation Army Lip Sync Contest. A large crowd helped raise close to $12,000 for the local Salvation Army programs. 11 acts performed. Here's just a brief clip from each of these.
story and I'm sticking to it.
Pardon me, sir. Did you see what happened? Yeah, I did. I was standing over there by the tomatoes, and here he comes, running through the pole beans, through the fruits and vegetables, naked as a jaybird. And I hollered over to Ethel. I said, "Don't look, Ethel!" And it's too late. She'd already been in the singers.
Here comes
Boogie there, boogie there.
there goes,
Boogie there, boogie there.
and he ain't wearing no clothes.
Oh, yes, they call him a speed. That's the thing on 2 feet.
Look at that, look at
He's
that.
just as proud as he can be. His anatomy, he gonna give us a key.
Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. That'll be the day when you make me cry. He says you're gonna leave. You know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die.
If this is where the monarchy is headed, count me out. Out of service, out of Africa, I wouldn't hang about. This child is getting wildly out of wing.
Oh, I just can't wait to be king. The nicest part of any melody is when you're dancing close to me. So put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. All I want is loving you and music, music, music.
High hopes, he's got high hopes. He's got high apple pie and the sky hopes. So anytime you're getting low, instead of letting go, just remember that ant. Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant. Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant.
It was 9 feet high and 6 feet wide, soft as a downy chick. It was made from the feathers of 411 geese, took a home both the cough or the tick. It hauled 8 kids, 4 held dogs, and a piggy we stole from the shed. Didn't get much sleep, but we had a lot of fun on Grandma's picnic. Yeah!
Folks, now here's a story about Minnie the Moocher. She was a red-hot hoochie coocher. She was the rough and toughest rail, but Minnie had a heart as big as a hay whale.
And the trophy winners? High V's, the Lion Sleeps Tonight, took first place in fundraising. And the Fairmont High School staff took home the Audience Appeal Trophy with their rendition of The Streak. Another fun weekend for Interlochen Heritage Days. I tell you, you better keep an eye out for that guy in the barrel. I mean, he could be anywhere. Janet, especially you, guard your picnic basket. For Focus on Fairmont, I'm Al Travis.
Gosh, this could be an exciting picnic. Time now, though, to join Bob Eberly and his guest, Randy Newland.
I'm Bob Eberly, president of the Fairmont Area Chamber of Commerce. And if you're like me, you've probably wondered from time to time what the name Waytronics actually means. My guest this morning, Randy Newland, Vice President General Manager of Waytronics, will clear some things up. Delighted to have you aboard.
Nice to be here.
So what does it mean, Waytronics? Weightronics is very much like it sounds. It's about making electronic scales. We make electronic weighing equipment. We also make some force measurement devices which are closely associated with electronic scales.
Now, what's a force measurement device?
It's something that rather than weighing actually measures the tensile strength. You might use it, for example, to stretch telephone cable and make sure it doesn't break while you're doing it.
How diverse are the products that you make for weighing?
Very diverse. Yeah, it's interesting to come through the place. We make scales that weigh very, very tiny particles. We can count, for example, the number of pieces of macaroni in a box. And we make scales that weigh railroad cars. So there's quite a variety of
And everything in between.
Everything in between, yeah, that's right.
Now, about a year ago, you spearheaded an expansion for the local plant. What was that all about?
We had our industrial business split between here and Santa Rosa, California, and we, for some years, talked about putting it together. We thought the timing was right. The customers wanted a single source to do business with, so that was one of the drivers behind it. And also, the cost of doing business here was significantly less than it is in Santa Rosa, so that was, we were able to save quite a bit of production cost by moving it to Fairmont.
On the other hand, I often hear industrialists in Minnesota say that the costs here are somewhat high because of taxes, workmen's compensation. Apparently that wasn't a real concern to you.
Well, like we talk about, and we just had some people from the State Economic Development group down, and we'd like to see the workman's comp cost less. But we feel that the labor force we have, the quality of labor we get, the education level of the people we hire far offsets those costs. I mean, we compete very favorably with people who build scales in many, many states around the country.
We've whet the appetite in talking about last year's expansion. We have some good footage on some of the results of that this morning. So, Randy, let's take a look, and you can tell us what's happening.
Okay, good. What you're seeing here is the new addition, and the new addition is 80,000 square feet. It employs 81 people, and it's a combination of many things. This particular area happens to be the new print shop. We have our own in-house printing, which we do because it's a bit more efficient and it keeps us from sending things all over the state. You'll see a combination of things as we go through here. That this piece happens to be our weight sensor manufacturing area, which is the foundation for every scale we build. And that's really what we do in the new areas. We build the actual weight sensor, the electronic weight sensor, in many, many different sizes and capacities. We do everything from the machining right on up through the attaching the electrical gear to it so it actually can produce a signal. And there's a lot of different types of work. You see ladies here that are doing the soldering. You see people doing testing. And then from there, we also have another area of the plant that's about half the new addition, and that's the area where we actually make the digital displays. And of course, the scale doesn't do any good unless you can get a readout. So the people you're seeing here are producing the printed circuit boards and ultimately putting those printed circuit boards in various digital displays. We make a variety of different readouts that go with many of our scales. We don't use the same readout on all the scales. So this is just kind of an overview of what the new factory consists of.
When you talk about your electronic sensors, I'm going to assume now if I want to weigh myself and I jump on a scale, the portion that I get on which registers the reading is the electronic sensor?
Yeah, in every scale base there is an electronic, it's actually a piece of metal that's wired in such a fashion that when you step on the scale, it'll produce a weight.
You've talked about the range of scales that you produce. Who would some of the customers be of Weightronics, names that I might recognize?
There are many. We sell a lot of scales to the agricultural industry. People like Cargill are big customers. Food processors are big customers of ours. In fact, the food processing industry is probably, if you had to pick one, the largest consumer of scale equipment in the country. So Tyson Foods, ConAgra, Fairmont Foods, people like that would use scales. All industry, manufacturing companies that want to keep track of parts, they use counting scales to keep track of parts rather than counting them all.